The Federal Reserve has stated that they intend to slow the economy down, even if it means bringing us to a recession. And Jerome Powell and other economists have gone so far as to say that they're willing to engage in demand destruction to control inflation. What's going on and why is this happening? So before we get into what actually demand destruction is, let's talk about what happened. Between 2020 and 2021, 40% of all the dollars that were ever created in the history of our country were created. And this alone, by itself, would have led to massive inflation. Of course, if the prices of all things went up 50, 60, or even 100%, I'm talking about all items, that would be the biggest controversy. It would wipe most of the middle class out, and there would be talks of a financial revolution, and the Federal Reserve didn't want that to happen. So the Federal Reserve engages in a policy that's called demand destruction, whereby destroying the demand for goods and services by raising interest rates, you can stretch out the effects of inflation so they're felt over a period of time instead of all at once. The Federal Reserve isn't the only country that's engaged in this policy. The other countries in the world have done the same exact thing, some in different ways. For instance, in China, they also printed a huge amount of money, although their numbers aren't publicly released like they are in America, which by itself was going to cause a massive decrease in the value of their currency. So they had to engage in demand destruction, and by adopting a zero COVID policy and keeping most of their country locked down, they were able to slow demand to the point that inflation was not felt right away and continues to be stretched out. And it's important to realize why so many countries, from the Russian ruble to the Chinese RMB to the US dollar, have been fighting inflation so hard, even at the expense of their own economy. And a reason for that is that each one is vying for their place as the reserve currency of the world. Right now, American dollars are occupying that top spot, but China and Russia are working very hard as well to pressure other countries into using their currencies as a means of exchange. But why is that? Because when a country has basically the world's currency, they're able to extract wealth through inflation to subsidize their own banking activities. So if you have $1 trillion held by foreign banks and you were to inflate the currency 5%, that transfers 5% of that wealth back to your own banking system, which the U.S. is very happy to do on a regular basis. So when you're seeing a lot of the policies out there and you're wondering what's going on, are these people stupid? Are they out of touch with the common working person? Well, no, they're not. The Federal Reserve knows exactly what they're doing. The Chinese Federal Reserve knows what they're doing, and the Russian Federal Reserve knows what they're doing. Unfortunately, as was true 300 years ago, as it is today, the banking industry is not there for the little guy. It's there for the big boys, and unless you're a big boy, these anti-inflationary measures have been pretty painful. If you're thinking about moving to the DC metro area and want to know about the pros and cons, the do's and don'ts, the working and playing while living in the DC metro, subscribe, like, and click the bell so you're always up to date on market conditions, new property listings, and real estate news that affects you in the Washington, DC metro area. We receive calls, emails, and texts every day from people just like you looking for information about making a move to Washington, D.C., and we absolutely love it. Whether you're moving in a few days or a few months, give us a call, send us a text, or write us an email so we can assist you in your transition from where you are now to where you want to be, Washington, D.C.